reputed as the peerless scenic spot since ancient and the top divine mountain of the world. Mount Wudang is located near Shiyan City, northwest Hubei Province, and is one of the sacred places in Taoism of China. The area borders Xiangfan, the famous historical city in the east, Shiyan, the city of Car in the west, Shenlongjia Forest Reserve in the south, and the large Danjiangkou Reservoir in the north. Mount Wudang features not only peculiar and splendid natural sceneries, but also features abundant historical and cultural sites. It is the key scenic resort of the state, and one of the 8 summer resorts. Its ancient buildings are even listed into World Cultural Heritage. After entering the gate of the scenic area, we could see that dozens of buses parking in the large-scale parking lot. They will make a circuit trip around all the scenic spots in the area and to receive and send off the tourists. Sitting in the bus and look out through the window, the beautiful sceneries are like a river slowly flowing in front of the tourists. Nanyan is also called as Zixiaoyan, literally means purple sky rock. As it faces the south, its full name is Dasheng Nanyan Palace. It is a perfect integration between the historical and cultural sceneries with nature. According to the record, in Tang Dynasty, Lü Dongbin, one of the 8 divinities, has ever cultivated himself in Nanyan. Until now, a verse made by him is still preserved. The historical book praises Nanyan as the halls and the yards are scattered. The bells are tolled in the morning and the lights are enlightened at night, to indicate that the buildings of Nanyan are stood in a good order. In the evening, the lights have become a unique scenery. There are many beautiful and unique types of scenery in Nanyan, including the precipitous and elegant Feishen Cliff, literally means flying to the sky cliff, the dragon-head incense extending out, and the ancient stone hall on the rugged cliff. When the tourists come here, they will all be astonished. It was said, the Southern Heavenly Gate is the first gate of the Heavenly Palace. In the ancient, our ancestors set up this gate to establish an artistic conception of fairyland advocated by Taoism. After crossing by the Southern Heavenly Gate, there is an ancient ginkgo nearby. Its branches are tangled with red ribbons for praying a good fortune. The tourists all came to present their good hopes. The leaves in fall and the fairy red ribbons compose a pleasant sight. Nanyan Palace is located at the foot of the Duyang Rock. The mountain is erected like the wind falling in the sky. It is getting famous for graceful and beautiful peaks. There are 21 buildings which are preserved today, including Tianyi Zhenqing Palace, Liangyi Hall, Emperor Scripture Hall, and Southern Heavenly Gate, etc. There is a well called a Sweet Dew Well in the courtyard with a hexagonal decorative railing. It is abysmal and the water is cool and sweet. It was said since the ancient this well never dries out, hence is regarded as sacred water in Taoism. The Taoism of Wudang is an important component of Taoism of China. In the meantime, it features its distinguished characters. Among the divinities worshipped in Taoism, 3 Qing divinity and 4 Yu are not placed in the most respectable position. However, Emperor Zhengwu is the most honored. In ancient mythologies of China, there are divinities safeguarding the 4 directions. Zhengwu is the divinity protecting the north. People fantasized his image as integration between tortoise and snake, and named it as Xuanwu. In Emperor Xuanwu Hall, figures of divinities and immortals are lively and lifelike, fully representing the wisdom and the craft of ancient people. From here, the figure statues, jobs, even the characters and the mood could be detected. The ancient architecture of Nanyan is a violation to the typical layout and pattern, which is totally symmetrical and is highly harmonious and unified with the surroundings. The craftsmen smartly took advantage of the terrain and made the buildings against the mountain and the rock, so that the refined buildings form into gorgeous and grand architectural group. The total layout is a masterpiece integrating the human efforts and the nature. In Nanyan, the peaks and the valleys are strange and precipitous. It joins with the verdant sky in the upper and near to the dangerous gorge in the lower. It is one of the most beautiful places in 36 rocks of Mount Wudangshan. Since Tang and Song dynasty, there were Taoism priests cultivating themselves here. The Jade Mansion in Divine Mountain and the sun rays on Red Platform. These artistic conceptions in painter's swords are represented lively. It is so called the deeper you get into Nanyan, the more tranquil the scenery is. Liangyi Hall is on the right side of the stone hall. Standing in the north and facing south, the hall looks to the great valley and is brick wooden construction. There is a niche in behind against the rock. Its front is a door with flower pattern grids, which forms into inner corridor with the eaves and the pillars leading to the stone hall. The famous Dragon Head stone is also named as Dragon Head Incense in convention. With a length of 3 meters, it is 2 dragons tangling into a hole made by magic carving skills. It sticks out to the sky and near to the deep valley. There is a little censer on the head of the dragon, which is so dangerous and boasts high artistic value. Liangyi Hall is important palace of Mount Wudangshan, and is also the Fumu Hall made behind the Grand Hall worshipping Zhengwu. In Nanyan, the designers smartly set up the gate at the side and built this, which represented the high level in designing. Tianyi Zhenqing Palace is a stone hall featuring a history of 700 years. The niches inside were set up against the rocks to worship the statues of 4 Yu, Zhenwu. The relics in the hall are all very precious and enjoy high artistic value. With an altitude of 1,612 meters above sea level, Tianzhu Peak, literally means Heavenly Pillar Peak, is standing peerlessly. Other peaks are like stooping and nodding towards it, or like lotus leaves safeguarding the bud, which formed the grand scene of 72 peaks worshipping the Grand Peak. This was what's so called. The tall mansions and buildings are hanging in the sky, and the divine caves for immortals are smartly joined. One doesn't need to cross the ocean for fairyland, because this is the place you are looking for. After paying a visit to Nanyan, we got onto the bus for the famous and ancient Zixiao Palace scenic area. Zixiao scenic area includes Zixiao Palace, Nanyan Palace, and the beautiful sceneries in a scale of 15 li around them. Zixiao Palace, the main scenic spot, is situated at the foot of the Zhanqi Peak of Mount Wudang. It boasts a grand scale and gorgeous vigor. The peaks and the mountains are circling around. The pine trees and the cypresses are dense. The environment is elegant and the climate is pleasant. Since the ancient, it was regarded as Zixiao auspicious land. The main 1,000 temples of Mount Wudangshan house dragon and tiger horse to worship Cyan Dragon and White Tiger, to decorate the dignity of Zhenwu. The dragon and tiger hall of Zixiao was set up on a high foundation, with a depth of 3 rooms and a breadth of 2 rooms. Zixiao Palace is a good example taking advantage of the special terrain. On the land, which is rugged in vertical and gentle in horizon, according to the middle axis, Dragon and Tiger Hall, Tablet Pavilion, Shifang Hall, Zixiao Grand Hall, and Fumu Hall, gradually increased in altitude. The affixed buildings are set on both sides. In the meantime, on the usage of constructing tall steps, Zixiao Palace is divided into 3 courtyards and composed an architectural group with distinguished main and subsidiary buildings which densely strew. Seen from a distance, the palace is dignified and sedate, representing the vigor of imperial right. Climbing up to the 3rd platform of Zixiao Palace, you arrive to the 2nd hall, Chaobai Hall. Formerly, it was Taoist temple for housing the Taoist priests for a short stay. It was said in Ming Dynasty, the believers could only worship Zhenwu here. Only the emperor could enter the Zixiao Grand Hall, so it is called as Chaobai Hall, literally means worship hall or Shifang Hall. The golden figure of Zhenwu cast by brass is worshipped in the middle. On both sides, the wall with the shape of Chinese character 8 is decorated with jade flowers and precious beasts. Below the wall is similar foundation. After crossing the Chaobai Hall, you will see the spacious courtyard of Zixiao Palace in a sudden. The sign stones are paved on the ground. Layers of stone steps connect to the tall platform of the Grand Hall, the highlight of Zixiao buildings. In the east of the courtyard is a round pond. The water is clear the year round. The unique 5-colored fishes of Wudang Shan are swimming inside. Zixiao Hall, the Grand Hall, is of green tiles and red walls, doubled eave and 9 ridges. On the ridges are sculptures of all kinds of rare sea animals. The eave is decorated by 2 pairs of flying dragons, 4 colorful phoenix, which look dignified and wonderful. In front of the hall, the platform is spacious.